I've said it, I can't say it enough. Garmin Pilot is an awesome app, and one of my favorite features is the weather integration. The accuracy and the level of detail in the weather forecasting tools is one of the main reasons why I think Garmin Pilot is worth the price tag. So the three places that we can go to view weather information in Garmin Pilot is the map, the weather imagery screen, and the flight plan briefing section. We're going to cover each of them, but let's start with the map. So the map has some great tools built in. Here in the overlays, we'll click that in the bottom left-hand corner and turn those on. You can't see that we have some weather in the area because I have some of these overlays already turned on. But you have the option for radar, which is going to display a mosaic of precipitation data like you're used to on your weather app. And then you can hit that down arrow to specify the source. So if you're connected to an ADS-B source, you can choose your FSB weather, or you can switch between Sirius XM. However, I'm only connected to the internet right now, so I'm using internet sources. You can overlay lightning. So I don't know if there's any big storms in the area. Yeah, so you can see lightning over here, and it just shows what areas of the cells are active at that point in time. And then you can even play it. So you can see where the strikes are happening at what point in time in the radar. Just note that this is historical weather imagery. It doesn't show forecasted or current weather information. The other one that I really like is going to be the cloud overlay. So without it, you can definitely see the precipitation, but the clouds kind of give you a sense of scale on where it starts to turn into IFR. And you have two options here. You have the internet infrared and the internet visible. I prefer the IR clouds just because they tend to be a little more vibrant. The visible is derived off of satellite information, so it doesn't work at night. So keep that in mind. Now over here on the right-hand side, you can choose your weather source, and this is going to display current information at weather reporting stations. So right now I've got the METAR selected. We can come up here and we can see like some of these guys are marginal VFR. And then if we come up north, you can see like this guy's low IFR. So it lets you paint a good picture of what the weather conditions are like. And this is highly customizable by displaying all of these. So like if we just want to know the visibility, we can click on that and view strict visibility numbers, or we can view the altimeter settings at all these weather reporting stations. It's just up to your personal preference and exactly what metric you want to look at on the map, as opposed to clicking on an airport and going to the weather information, and clicking on an airport and going to weather information. It's just a really good way to view that. So you can choose the input down here in the layers. So like I currently am using METAR data, but we can use the TAF. So now it's using the TAF source. And the cool part about that is now you can click down here and you can adjust the time in which you want to view the forecast. So you can see these guys kind of shift as the time goes on. And then you can view even more if you go to the model output statistic, because it's 72 hours. So you can really see just how the different airport conditions are expected to change throughout the forecast duration. Now over here, all of these fields on the right-hand side are mutually exclusive, so you can only view one. So you can choose to view icing information. So let's see if we can find something, if we can find some clouds up here. The thing with icing is you need to select your time period, so you can go forward or backward, and then you need to select your altitude. So you'll use this altitude slider to find some icing, and then you'll see this start to overlay on the map. And then you also need to select the type of icing that you want to look at. So here we're viewing it by severity, and then the little red areas are for super cold large droplets of water. And then you can choose different probability levels of ice. So then you can say, okay, I only want to see stuff that's greater than 25% probability, or I only want to see icing that's greater than 50% probability. So then you can really fine tune it. Or if you want to view only probability, you can click on that there. Just a really good way to see icing information from my IFR flyers out there. Winds display the kind of traditional NOAA wind barbs over the map. So it's the other thing where you need to select your forecast period, and then you need to select your altitude. And you can see these wind barbs. You can see they change colors as the winds get higher. So it's a good way to see kind of a graphical representation of the winds throughout the country if you would like to view it in that manner. Airmets and SIGMETs can be viewed here, and then see they're very in your face, very bright, but you can click on any of them and get more information about, the nature, convective SIGMET, the time periods that it's active for, and you can click down here to filter them out. So if you don't care about freezing, or if you don't care about icing, whatever it may be, you can kind of clean those up a little bit. PIREPs can be activated as well, And you'll see that there's not a whole lot that pops up because by default it's set to 15 minutes old. But as you increase the age, now these PIREPs start popping up. And then if you want to get more information, just click on one. So here's an E175 doing a routine PIREP for light to moderate chop. Okay, that's it for the map overlays. Let's move to the weather imagery section. So these weather imagery charts are static, so they don't show your current location, they don't move, but they are the traditional ones, the official ones published by NOAA. And you can still zoom in and view them in better resolution if you want. I really like these because you can select your altitude section right here, and you can select your forecast interval within them. So what would have been probably a case of 100 charts that you have to find the exact one for your altitude block and your forecast period, now you can just dial it in. So that feature is really nice for these kind of complicated ones like the icing charts. But you'll see that they're organized in several different manners. So you can view them by hazard, you can view them by region, or by product type. So depending on if you know exactly what information you're here for, you can go for the product type. Or if you just want to view generalized information, like come to the region and view North Central. Now we've got, air mets that we can look at, or we can come to continental United States to look at our surface analysis. And then if we want to adjust our forecast window for the surface analysis, we can do that as well. So I really like how Garmin just has these organized. It makes it a little more user-friendly than the experience of logging into the National Weather Service website and trying to figure out exactly what chart you want to view. Some of my favorite charts are going to be the icing charts because you can find them so easily. So if I'm going to be cruising at, granted I probably won't cruise this high, but cruising at 18,000 feet, 6 hours from now, we can kind of view the icing forecast with the severity. I also like the turbulence forecast. So we can come through here and see that, in our area at 1,000 feet, we're forecasting light chop. And then you can go ahead and increase your altitude to see, okay, are there smoother pockets areas you go higher, or does it get rougher? And make a decision on your cruise altitude if you're worried about the comfort of the ride. So another way to view turbulence is going to be your AirMet tangos. So this is going to be all your published G AirMets for turbulence over the continental United States. And then you can also adjust your forecasted window here. And it gives you kind of the turbulence and the flight levels that are affected. I did already show you the surface analysis, but I like this just for getting a sense of the precipitation probability. And then if there's any fronts moving in, you can get a good understanding of just kind of what the weather is going to be doing. As far as the other ones, they are still great resources, but I just don't happen to use them as much. Something I will note about this is these are only available when connected to the internet. Note that they will not automatically update when you're connected to an ADS-B source like the map overlays will. So the last section that I want to talk about is the flight plan briefing, which blew my mind the first time that I ran it. So I've got a flight plan loaded up in here. It's just a basic Bolivar to Springfield to Branson. And then I saved it as a trip. So once you've got your information here, go ahead and click on brief, choose your type of briefing, and then hit either create briefing or refresh if it's old. And it's going to generate a completely customized PDF briefing for your entire route of flight. So I'll go ahead and make this full screen so you can see it. But it is a 16-page document, complete with table of contents, to show you the entire briefing for this flight. So you can see there's convective SIGMETs active for the entire route. It shows kind of snippets from these static map sources. It shows surface analysis for the time that you have filed. It shows the current METARs, it'll show the TAF, it shows the model output statistic, like everything is in here. Cloud information. So instead of needing to call flight service, you can just run this briefing and run through it, and this is the exact same information that they use. So it is extremely handy, and I'm not trying to devalue flight service, but oftentimes if you're working in a busy airport lounge and you're trying to get to a quiet space where you can call flight service and it just doesn't work out, this is a great substitute if you have access to the internet. You can see that there's TAFs, and then when you get down here at the bottom, you have destination NOTAMs and warnings along your route. So if there are any planned TFRs or if your route goes through any restricted airspace, it'll warn you of that right here, which is also incredibly helpful. So I do encourage you, go through, make some mock flight plans, run some briefings, read through the briefings, kind of learn how to decipher them, because it's a very, very handy tool. I mean, it kind of just takes all your preliminary flight planning and puts it in one document to view. So it's not an excuse to be complacent, but it is a great way if you just need a quick snapshot of the weather before you take off. This is it. So that's it. You can see the Garmin Pilot has a pretty extensive suite of weather reporting tools to help you fly safer and be in the know of what's going to happen weather-wise. Hopefully these tools help you when it comes time to make your next go, no-go decision for a cross-country flight. If you like this video, I have other Garmin Pilot videos, so check out my playlist, check out my other GTN tutorials, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.